is good to go. We are off to the races, as they
Nice.
say. Yeah, welcome everybody to episode 47 of the Whatnauts Captain's Log. It's our weekly off-topic show, so you never know what you're gonna get. It's gonna be some good, clean family fun. Maybe not. Who knows? It'll be something. My name is Kyle Springer. I am joined by Melissa Wilkinson. As
Hello.
always, yeah,
I'm
how are
good this
you?
morning. I hope you are also well, Kyle.
I'm doing well. I feel well
Oh,
rested
nice.
today. It's one of those days where I actually woke up and was like, I actually feel like I slept well
Yeah.
and not got the like 6 hours that at least gets the job
Mm-hmm.
done. But it's like, you want more? It's like, no, you're
Mm-hmm.
good. You're good. So that's how I'm feeling today. Let's see. Let's see what we got on our docket here for things to talk about. There's some really cool
Yes.
stuff. This week has been very exciting.
This is, I think,
There's lots of
this is
news.
the first week where I'm like, okay, I have a legitimate news item to talk about, not just like a mall I went to.
I mean, hey, it's fun to talk
I
about the
did. I did go
malls
to the
you
mall this
go
week.
to
Pretty fun.
as well. Hey, there you go. So you messaged me
Mm-hmm.
this morning, right when you woke up, and you were like, "Watch this thing. We're gonna talk about it. That's gonna be the big thing." So let's
Yes.
let's dive in first thing with that. Disney's new streaming service, Disney
Yes.
Plus, had all
This
the
was
announcements.
announced, I think, 2 years ago, probably at the 2017 D23 conference, which is this big Disney convention that they have every other year. A bunch of news comes out at that
Mm-hmm.
time. And this is coming out here in November of this year, November 12th. Yeah, it was projected for
Yes.
sometime late 2019, and we finally have a start date, November 12th. This is Disney's first streaming service. And a lot of stuff they've been doing lately has been leading up to this. It's not only going to have the entire Disney library, they're putting on a lot of big new original programming. And this was also one of the major factors in them acquiring 20th Century Fox. It wasn't just to be like,
Yeah.
we're a big hungry, hungry hippo. How many companies can we eat? Or we have to get the X-Men on our side. It was also like, we need to bulk up the streaming service. We need to get another studio's worth of stuff on here just to make sure we are a strong front runner right out of the gate with no risks.
Which is an interesting thing to think about because everyone is making a streaming
Mm-hmm.
service. And so I think even with this, I think a lot of people are still rolling their eyes, being like, it's another streaming
Disney was the one that was
service, like blah, blah,
supposed
blah,
to
blah,
do it.
blah.
Like, forget, we don't need all the other ones. We've needed the Disney one for ages. And finally, I'm glad they took the time to make it right. Like, they didn't rush something out like in, 2010 when Hulu was new.
Yeah. Which, like, I guess I feel like it's an interesting thing because, like, a lot of their stuff was already on Netflix and
Mm-hmm.
Hulu. And so it's like you didn't really need a Disney streaming service. And if they did spin off their own thing, it's like, okay, I can see why they would want to. I know the revenue is supposed to be really good. You know, the whole idea behind a
Mm-hmm.
subscription service is that you kind of set it and forget
Mm-hmm.
it. And that's kind of what they're counting on. They hope that you use it a bunch one month, and then the next month, you don't. You watch something else on Netflix or something, but you're still paying them. Is is the thing. And I think a lot of people are wanting to jump
Mm-hmm.
into that, but like you said, don't have the bulk, don't have the amount of content that justifies the, hey, pay $8 a month and
Yeah.
it's, here's this thing, pay $10 a month and here's all the stuff you get. It's like I don't want to pay for an Apple streaming service. They have zero content. I don't want to pay for an HBO only. Like, they might have some great shows, but it's only that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. I think the video that you sent me, which was the DSNY
Yes, this is a
newscast.
really great YouTube channel to go to. They put out like a Disney news video twice a week, really informative, just short to the point. This is what you need to know about parks and media and
Sweet.
all kinds of things. So there's a good long video, not super long, but like
Wait,
you yeah,
it's
like
like 10
a
minutes.
solid 10 minutes, really comprehensive, everything you need to know about. Well, actually, not everything you need to know about Disney Plus because their catalog of original programming is so big. Like, I
Yeah.
listened to my favorite Disney News podcast this week, and they were mentioning shows that this video doesn't mention. And I'll read an article that mentions a show that the other things didn't mention. There's actually so much original content. Like, I'm not finding one news source listing all of it for you, which is kind of exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. But he makes a point in that video that's like these guys have content dating back to the like
Hmm.
60s that has been, or before that. I'm not sure when Disney first got started
Are
and
you,
stuff like that, but
hold
like
on. Mickey,
it was a long
Mickey
time
Mouse
ago.
just turned 90 years old. We've discussed
There
this.
you go. He's old. They've been around for
60s.
90 years. I'm just making shit up. I don't know. But the point still stands is they've been
Mhm.
around for a long, long time, and they have some of the best content out there, regardless of having a streaming service
Mhm.
or not. A lot of their stuff is iconic. It's timeless. It's stuff people still watch
Yeah.
today, and I think just have like having all of that is almost enough
Yeah.
to
I don't
launch their
think
own streaming
they
service. This is one I feel like it's still like it's another one, but I understand it with
Yeah,
them
yeah. I
if
don't
that
think they
makes
needed
sense.
to acquire a bunch of other things. I think and like I'm very excited about all this original programming, but if they gave you just here's everything we've made so far, I would absolutely be paying however much money for that a month. Like that is worth it to me. I didn't like it's kind of neat that I will also be able to go to this place and watch all of the Simpsons on launch day. It's
Yeah,
nice. Oh, there's two different things
fascinating.
I love. I can find it all in one place. That's cool for me. I don't think it was necessary, but I
That
don't
was
mind it.
because of the
No, I
Fox
know
deal,
exact.
right? They got
Yes,
the right.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was one of the
yeah.
big front runners, and I think they are slowly rolling out Fox stuff. I don't know if it's Fox catalog on launch day, but I think the video pointed out a couple like big Fox movies that are going to be on there, and they will have The Simpsons on opening day.
Yeah. So that stuff is really neat. Um, but I'm wondering where this leaves them in terms of like diversifying their content in terms of like not Disney stuff. Like, because the Simpsons aren't really a Disney thing. They just happen to be their
Hmm.
own thing that has been owned by I don't know who's owned them all in the past, but I believe it's jumped around a bit. Um, or at least who had the rights to
Uh,
stream them and air them and stuff
yeah. Oh,
like
they've
that.
always been on Fox. The entirety of the history of that show, it's been on the same network.
Yeah, and so I'm kind of wondering if that's even a thought for them. Do they want anything else on on their streaming service besides their own content and maybe the few extra things that they got
Hmm.
from Fox? Because it seems like they obviously are valuing getting all of their
Hmm.
properties back under their roof, hence the
Yeah.
Marvel stuff. I know that's one thing that a lot of people care about. Um, but I'm wondering about beyond that, if they have any plans beyond that. Will we see? I was about to say, will we see Lost on there? But Lost was ABC Studios, which I think is also owned by
Yeah. Yeah.
Disney, if I'm
Yeah.
not
We could
mistaken.
see
So
Lost on
something
there.
else, like, yeah, like will I don't know, will I'm just making up stupid stuff now. Will Game of Thrones be on there one day? You know, like I will that type of show.
You're I think what they're
beyond
doing,
that.
and you see this in the video, that they've got things kind of categorized by studio. It's not just like action adventure. It's like, here is Star Wars, here is
Right.
Marvel. And I imagine,
But it's all
yeah, but
stuff
I
they own.
imagine they could also do something like, they might even go so far as, here are our Fox acquisitions. This is the Fox category on the site. And it gives, it's all packaged in that. They get the revenue from the Fox things, and it's part of it, but also like that step away. And I don't believe Disney is ever going to try and like, you know, declaw anything they get from another studio that isn't the typical Disney family friendly outlook. That's what I've heard, that they're really like, they've got Deadpool now, and they're like, we're gonna respect what Deadpool is. We're not gonna change it.
Yeah.
We're gonna try and incorporate it how we can, but if we can't, we won't.
Yeah. But I guess what I'm asking about is that stuff is all Disney
Hmm.
stuff there. What are they thinking of outside of that, if anything? Like, do you think they need it? Do you think that's something they'll go
What do you think, they're
towards?
gonna try and collect more things?
Yeah, I mean they have the platform now. Like, is it worth only having their own stuff and that's it, or do you feel like they might eventually try to diversify stuff outside of their own
I
properties?
don't.
Here's the CW shows. Here's the something else. Here that's why I was like, what about Game of Thrones, which I know will most likely never happen, but just outside of their own stuff.
I don't think they need to, and I don't think they will try to acquire anything else. Like, they're about as big as anything could ever get. And I know there was so much legal trouble with acquiring Fox. Like, they might be
Well,
legally,
I,
like, they can't get anything else from anywhere else. They have to just keep making their own
I don't
things.
necessarily mean like buying up
Uh-huh.
studios, but just like, hey, we're gonna acquire the rights to stream
Oh,
this
okay. You think they're
show.
not going to buy out a studio, but it's like just a right thing. The
Yeah,
way, okay,
what else outside of
okay,
their
so like
own stuff might they put on the
So like the way
streaming thing?
Netflix had the rights to have, here's The Force Awakens or here's Guardians of the Galaxy. They're just on our platform right now.
Yeah, yeah, or yeah, like, will they ever get, I don't know, the rights to stream Nickelodeon stuff
No,
on there?
they don't need it. Like, they've got, and that's why they got Fox. They're like, we need this bulk of known things to fill us up at the beginning. And they've got that. They've got their own history, their original programming, which we haven't even gotten.
What else does Fox have though besides Simpsons and getting back to the X-Men and stuff?
Oof, I've watched videos running down, this is everything they're going to get with the Fox merger. The Aliens franchise, for instance. I don't remember. I think Avatar might have been a Fox property, and which was licensed out to the Disney parks to make the Pandora Land and Animal Kingdom. And
Mm-hmm.
so now that's fully under the umbrella. Now I don't remember all of it off the top of my head, but there are lists you can go look up of everything that they have acquired
Sure,
now.
yeah,
Buffy is a 20th Century Fox property.
sure. So like, what? Yeah. So you don't feel like they need anything outside of the Disney stuff, though. We're only ever gonna have Disney stuff on the Disney platform.
Yeah, they don't need anything else. I think they wanted recognizable things to bulk them up at the beginning so they could start
Mm-hmm.
strong. And I think everything else they create within house is going to be strong enough to sustain them.
Yeah, yeah. I kind of agree with you. I don't necessarily think they needed to get Fox to bulk up their
Hmm.
listings though, because they already had Star Wars, they already had
Yeah.
Disney, they or Marvel, they already had a whole, like we said, they've been here for
Hmm.
90 years making
Yeah,
stuff.
I don't think they
Um,
needed it, but what's done is done, and now I'm just excited. Oh, I could, I have been thinking about getting that FXX app so I could watch all the back seasons of Simpsons. Now I don't have to. Now that's rolled into another thing I
yeah,
already wanted to buy.
yeah,
It is convenient for me as a consumer, I have to admit that.
Um, so I guess that kind of leads me into my next question: is where that leaves Hulu,
What's wrong with Hulu? Why do you think
because
it's going anywhere?
Disney now owns a
Oh, that's
controlling
right.
share in Hulu. Because I think they had 30%, and Fox also had 30. So now they have like 60 or
Hmm.
something like that. So they have a second streaming platform with Marvel content on there. I just got done watching a Hulu original series called
Oh, yes.
Runaways, which is based off some Marvel
Hmm.
comics. So do they move the Runaways to the Disney streaming thing? Where does this leave Hulu? Do they eventually roll this into Disney Plus, or is it kept separate and it focuses then more on Hulu as a replacement for cable rather than Disney Plus as a replacement for Netflix, if that makes
I
sense?
don't think you remember, you know, Toy Story. You know when Buzz Lightyear shows up and Woody's trying to calm down the toys and he's like, "Nobody's getting replaced." That's how I feel. We're Andy. We can love all of our toys equally. Like there doesn't need to be this much competition with it. I think that it may make sense for them to take something like the Runaways just so that like all of the Marvel content is centered in one
In
place,
one thing.
but I don't imagine they'd mess around with anything else too much. Like Hulu will probably still have the, you know, next day Fox shows like it has had, which has been Hulu's strength the entire
Yeah,
time. It's shows.
which is what I'm kind of
Mhm.
asking is like, will they play up Hulu's strength more of the, hey, you missed the newest episode of the live TV yesterday, so watch it the
Mhm.
next day? Will it be more of that stuff as a like, hey, you don't need to have cable, but here's the the most recent TV shows from the past
Mhm.
month or so, whereas the Disney Plus will be, hey, here's just all of our back catalog. Here's all of the Marvel stuff. Here's all of
Mhm.
the Star Wars stuff. Here's all of the Simpsons. But then Hulu stays and it's like, hey, here's everything that happened on
Mhm.
TV this past
Yeah,
month.
I don't think they are going to break what Hulu is now. There's no reason it needs to stop doing what it's doing, and there's no reason for any other platform to take that on. Like, I think everybody recognizes that's where we go for that. And that's been working, and I
Yeah,
imagine it'll continue to work.
yeah, and I don't think I'm trying to say that Disney will
Hmm.
stop that, but more of like, hey, that's Hulu's strength, but Hulu also does the thing where it's like, hey, we have, I don't know, all the episodes of Harvey
Hmm.
Birdman, attorney at law. Like, do they continue putting more money into that? Do they continue putting more money into original content on the thing, or does all of that stuff get moved over to
I don't
Disney
think so.
eventually?
I don't think they'll leave who like they'll drain it dry and it is just like that, okay, here's all of the last TV for the month. Like the originals will all stay there. I think some of those TV back catalogs will all stay there. Like, I think Disney's already gotten what they want and everything else is going to be generated in-house. I don't think they need to pull anything else that they've already pulled, except for if it is like we're going to take, you know, the Runaways is here now just because we want Marvel all in one place. I don't think anything outside of that case is going to be
Mm-hmm.
pulled anymore.
Yeah. Who
Yeah.
knows? It's interesting stuff because I had a situation at work that kind of reminds me of
Mhm.
this thing of just one of my coworkers wanted in email that we were sending out to have like two stories at the top,
Uh-huh.
like of an email side by side. It's like, yeah, technically we can do that, but you're competing for attention and all of that stuff, and people often want, like, subconsciously want to be told what to do. Here's what you should
Mhm.
focus on. Here's the one thing you should do. Read this story first, then that next one. It's not necessarily less important because you read that one second, but just here's one thing to focus on so that in that 6 seconds you open up the email and see what it's about. Maybe you'll get
Mhm.
something rather than like, here's two things and focus on
Mhm.
nothing. Um, so I'm wondering, yeah, like that's kind of what's going on in my mind with Disney and Hulu and stuff. It's like why have two and split the revenue base when you can almost start working towards combining them and just give, hey, here's one thing. I mean, it's already supposed to be what, $7 a month or $70 a
Yeah, which
year,
is really
so
fair.
it's
Yeah,
really
I
cheap.
was talking to my family about this because like my older brother, he's got a kid and I'm like, I think I'm definitely getting the Disney Plus subscription. I could get the one for the whole family. You could throw me a couple dollars a month. Your
Yeah,
daughter can watch all Moana over and over again as much time as she wants and I'll watch my stuff. And he's like, yeah, we'll have to see. Like they could charge a lot for this if they wanted to because they've got that brand name. And I'm like, I don't think they're going to do that. I think they want such a strong start. They're not also going to risk, and it's $30 a month for all this. Big as the catalog is,
yeah.
nobody's going to do that.
Mm-mm.
I was expecting 15 at the outside, and they came in like, yeah, $7 a month or $70 for the year. Like, I'll give you the $70 for a year. Absolutely. Really fair
Yeah.
prices.
I think that's super cheap. I'm interested in signing up. I might not do it right away, but yeah, like I feel like if down the road they did want to
Mhm.
consolidate that stuff, like having a thing be like $10 a month, $12 a month, which almost doubles it, but still is like that's still reasonable to have all of that Disney stuff, have all of the stuff that we used to think of as Hulu mixed in with that. Yeah, that that sounds fantastic. Like I think would be the only way they would raise their stuff, is if down the road that's
I
their
don't
plan.
Yeah, I
But who
don't
knows?
imagine them merging the platforms, but I can imagine them easily offering a package deal like you get Disney Plus and Hulu for $100 a year.
Yeah,
Mhm.
something
Now
something
let's
like
talk
that.
about this original programming 'cause we haven't even gotten to it yet, and they've got some heavy hitters.
What are you most excited for? Out of all 25 plus original things that they've already announced, what are you most excited for?
I wouldn't say this is the most exciting thing, but what I am most looking forward to is that there's gonna be a Phineas and Ferb
That's
movie. That is my one of my favorite TV
I
shows, legitimately, not just like one of my favorite Disney things or one of my favorite kids
I
shows.
thought he was gonna mention that in that
Yeah,
video, you think? Because it's like right there, front and center. The camera's zooming in. He's like, "And here's what I'm most excited about." And then it's like he does the Imagineering
which is
thing,
very
and then it's like,
cool.
oh, okay,
No, I am very
yeah.
excited for another Phineas and Ferb movie personally. But they've got amazing things. Like, how about you? What are you most excited for?
I think right now it's the
Yes,
Mandalorian.
that's their big tent pole. This is like a 10 episode original Star Wars series directed by Jon Favreau, and it is like $100 million. It is like film level. Like
High
somebody
budget
compared it to
stuff.
Game of Thrones, only in that it is going to be that well developed and that cinematic and that expensive in scope. And you're really going to see all that
Yeah.
money on the screen.
I think John Favreau is
Yeah.
fantastic. I think he's gonna do
I
amazingly
I'm
well
really interested to
with
see
that.
him
He's
play with the Star
already
Wars.
worked with a man in a metal
Yes.
suit before, so we'll see what he does there. But yeah, like I feel like the Marvel stuff should be up there for
Yes.
me. That I'm really skeptical about. On the other hand,
Hmm.
though, like I don't know what to think of it. I don't know how it's gonna fit in with stuff. I don't know what the perception of that
So
is gonna
the
be. On one hand, I'm super
Mhm.
excited. On the other hand, I'm wondering if it's gonna muddle up continuity. What does this mean for the actors going forward in the MCU? I saw
Mhm.
Belinda Garcia on Twitter be like, "Hey, here's my theory for the people that stay dead after Avengers Endgame," and it was all the ones that are mentioned in
Huh.
here. It's Falcon and Vision and Wanda and Winter Soldier. It's like, what if all of them are some of the ones that don't make it out after this? Who knows?
Well, okay, so let's
Um,
explain. These are the Marvel shows coming to Disney Plus. There is Falcon, yeah,
WandaVision,
WandaVision.
which I think is a
Well, when he
terrible
was
name.
saying, well, the host of this video we were watching has a British accent, so I thought he said Wonder Vision. I'm like, what kind of title is that?
Uh-huh.
And then I saw it written out, and I'm like, well, that makes way more sense than what I thought it was. So that's an improvement. At least I can tell where you
Yeah,
got that.
it just makes me think of this like Leave It to Beaver
I
50s
like that
style
though.
family sitcom, which I mean, I haven't read very many Vision comics or comics with him in there. That's not what I think of as the character of this, like, well, Timmy, like,
Okay, this is
well,
this is
well,
what
you
I
know.
think about it. That is a ship name. Like it's just the name of the two lovers
I
pasted
mean, yeah,
together. And it kind of,
it could be a
yeah,
rom com
I
stuff
would
like
love to
that,
see
but
a very romantic relationship focused superhero series we haven't seen anything like that since Lois and Clark in the 90s. Like give me just one
yeah.
of those and I think they're really interesting candidates for that.
I mean, I would say Supergirl right now
But
is the like
I can't even name who
CW.
her boyfriend is. Does she have one?
It's off and on with
I want there to be
someone.
like this is a power couple superhero show and it's about
True.
their relationship. That sounds great to me.
True. That show in general, the Supergirl show, it is the like
Mm.
rom com. Let's focus on relationships and stuff like that, rather than like let's focus on big superhero fights and stuff like that. But it's weird to me because there is a recent like 12
Yeah.
issue series called The Vision, and it's I think we covered it a long time ago on the Whatnauts here, an old version of the review show, and it's basically it reminds me more of
Mm.
Breaking Bad than anything else, where it's this seemingly normal family, except that they're basically like
Yeah.
synthezoid. I don't remember exactly what the
Mhm.
vision is, but yeah, he is. It's this seemingly normal family, except that they are these robot-ish things. But then things keep going wrong, and they just keep digging themselves deeper and deeper and deeper into this hole. It like they just dig their own graves into this, and it's fascinating because it's
Mm.
terrifying at the same time. And it's almost it's not a rom-com, it is more a psychological
Okay.
thriller, and I would love to see that. Just let's explore a more slice of life home style thing, but it is this just this slow dramatic creeping towards the darkness
Yeah.
thing. And that's not what
I don't
WandaVision
I
sounds
don't
like.
want to judge any of this because it relies so much on information we
True,
don't
we don't
know.
know.
I mean, you don't know anything that's going on
Yeah,
behind the scenes of anything, but
I just think it's a terrible name.
it's their right to name the thing whatever they want to name the thing.
No, how dare they name it whatever they want? Yeah.
Listen, I'm just happy to have a thing to watch. They could call it Marvel
Yeah.
Program B, and I'd be perfectly excited. Yeah, there's WandaVision, there's Falcon and Winter Soldier, and there's the
Winter
Loki
Soldier,
show,
yeah. And there's
which
a
is going
Loki
to, it seems
one.
like it's going to play a
Yeah.
lot more into Loki, God of Mischief, and it's
Loki
going to be
show.
him as a bit more of a figure like Q from Star Trek The Next Generation, sort of this real mischief maker, like sneaking around and messing things up, which is interesting. It's different.
I'm wonder it sounded like it was
Yeah,
somewhat
and
of a
he's like
time
hopping
travel
through
show, putting him
history.
in different. So I'm wondering if they're gonna try and make it a more Doctor Who esque
Yeah,
show,
that I like.
which would be interesting. Which DC also kind of has that. They have
Mm,
Legends of Tomorrow, and it's like Doctor Who meets Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's fantastic and it's
mm.
ridiculous. Um, but yeah, like I'm interested in the Loki show. I'm interested to see what they're gonna do with the Falcon and Winter Soldier. I'm skeptical because I know there's a lot of people out there who don't read the comics or like the Marvel movies, but aren't super obsessed with every detail and how everything fits in. And so I'm wondering if adding shows outside that have MCU characters that are outside of the MCU, kind of, but we don't know exactly how they're going to fit, if that's just going to muddle things up and be like, wait, but I thought this character died, so why is he in this show, and who is that? And that stuff is already kind of happening with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Agent Carter, and I guess happened with Agent Carter. Damn shame they canceled that show, but still, like, it's I feel like this is one of the instances where they run the risk of that there's a lot of content out there, and continuing to put this much more content might make it more confusing to navigate. Who knows?
I don't know. Like, so you have my parents who have seen like half the Marvel movies. Occasionally they'll see one in a theater. They'll watch them when they pop up on FX or whatever TV channel.
Yeah.
And they get the broad strokes of it. And I think something like this might confuse them, but you've got an audience so much bigger than my parents. Like, there's way more of us than there is anybody else. And I imagine, heck, they might even have a guide. You know, they might even make like, okay, here's the MCU explained to you in a 22-minute like mini doc right there on the platform.
They do. Oh, yeah, on the
platform this is
would be
going to be.
I was going to say there's tons of those.
Yeah, this is going
YouTube.
To be a platform really for everybody. Like, it's for like the nerds like us that really know MCU canon. It will be for my parents when they're like, oh, well, you know, when our granddaughter comes over, we want to be able to show her all the movies she likes. We'll get that Disney service.
Yeah.
You know, it's for such a huge range of people. I think they're going to try and hit a balance of making it that approachable while also not curbing anything that's that specific. Like,
yeah. Because I guess I'm wondering is like when this will take place. Like I'm one of those ones who want to know the minute details. Does this take place after Endgame? Does these take place before? If they take place before, are they going to be retconning continuity? Or I guess retroactive continuity is what retcon is. It's not a fucking ATM machine. But yeah, like are they going to be retconning stuff? Is this gonna change? Is this more of a what if side story of like alternate
because
thing?
They are making a Marvel what if animated show.
Yeah, I know that, but like it, like I guess I'm asking of, is this just like is this just a story not in continuity, but it's going to have its own continuity? Like, hey, we're just going to pair Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and they're going to have an adventure, and it's the characters you know from the movies, but it doesn't factor into the continuity of the movies.
That is a very comic book thing to do. So if they wanted to go that route, there's no reason not to.
Which is why it's confusing, because comics are confusing. Coming from a comic book nerd.
We really can't speculate until we have seen Endgame. And for all of these titles, it does seem like something they could backdate, not to necessarily retcon something. Yeah. But, you know, the Loki series is going to cover... He's a god. It's going to cover his entire, like, century-long lifetime. You know, you could easily backdate. Yeah. There's plenty of times, you know, like, Wanda and Vision ran off for a couple years. There's plenty of times Falcon and Winter Soldier could have been hanging out and we didn't see it. Not hanging out because they're not friends, but they could have been on the same mission together. Like, it could very easily be that, or it could be set post Endgame. We cannot speculate right now. We'd be talking ourselves in circles because it all centers around information we do not have for another 2 weeks. We can come back to this in 2 weeks.
Yeah. I think the one Marvel thing I am most excited for is the What If animated series. I'm surprised they haven't done this before. Like, that's baffling. to me. I'm not necessarily a fan of the What If
Mhm.
comics, but it's a thing, and I think like it's a story engine of its own. Just like, hey, what if
Yeah.
this happened instead? Or what, like you can come up with anything, and it's just a one-off. Here's this idea, let's explore it for half an hour to an
Mhm.
hour, and that's that. I think that one's gonna be a lot
Yeah,
of fun.
that's a good one. Let's see. Let's talk about I'm going to keep going through this entire dang list, Kyle. Like I said, this is like
Let's
all I
go
want to
for
talk
it.
about this week. Over to the Pixar stuff, there is going to be a show called Monsters at Work that is set after Monsters Inc. after they've discovered that
If this is anything like the Office, but with Mike Wazowski, I'm totally in.
what it's gonna be
100%.
is it's like set after Monsters Inc. after they figure out, oh, we don't need screams, we need laughter. And you remember the end of that movie, like Mike is like the big jokester star of the floor now, and it's like
Yeah.
Sully is his coach. This show is about a young, like worker bee there at the factory that wants to be that and is aspiring to be that. So it seems like Mike and Sully will be like occasional appearances in the show. It's not going to center on them. It's going to center on other monsters
Yeah.
trying to get there. I love that world. That's always been one of my favorite Pixar movies. That world building is so fun, and I'm really excited to just spend that much time in that world.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited for
Mhm.
that one too. But yeah, if it's anything like The Office, give me The Office as Monsters Inc. That would be incredible.
There's a show following Bo Peep from her time after she was given away by Andy's family sometime between Toy Story 2 and Toy Story 3 to where she ends up in Toy Story
Now
4 called Lamp Life.
this this one I'm really confused about.
How so?
What does lamp life
Oh,
mean?
do you remember her? Like in the first movie, she's like a figurine that sits on the base of a lamp.
A lamp.
It's like her and her
Yeah.
little sheep, and they're all under this like lampshade.
I just
Plus, like,
I feel again this is one of those ones like I feel like this is a
no, I
terrible
think it's
name. WandaVision.
no, I
Lamp
like
life.
Lamp Life because it's probably, and think about Pixar. It's got the lamp
Hey,
logo.
did you watch the new episode of Lamp Life last night? I feel like it's really bad.
No, I think it's a sweet title, and I could easily imagine them, like maybe she just finds a different lamp to hang out with every
Yeah.
different place she's traveling to. Like it's got that meta level of being, the Luxo Junior, the Pixar lamp. Over there in Pixar Pier in
Mhm.
Disney's California Adventure, they have like a whole themed bar and grill called the Lamp Light Lounge that's centered around, that lamp. So I think it makes sense in canon, it makes sense in that sort of extra meta canon. I think it's a solid title, and I think you just, you just haven't seen any of these things yet.
I mean, yeah, you're right. I haven't, but it's not a title that instills confidence in me. Even though I know they'll knock it out of the
Mhm.
park, but
And then there's some really interesting nonfiction shows. They're bulking up the nonfiction shows too.
yeah, lots of
Yeah,
documentary style stuff is what it sounded
there's a
like.
docu-series on the Disney Imagineers, who are the people that create all of the rides and all the stuff in the theme parks, which is going to
Hmm.
be incredible. There's another show, I forget the title, and and it might have not had a real title. A couple of these were announced with just working titles to begin with. That's all about like props and costumes and physical things made throughout some Disney movies of the past, like going back from Mary
Yeah.
Poppins all the way up to like the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie. And it's just like a prop study, which sounds really neat.
Hmm. Yeah.
There is a
Kind of like a trying to come up with like a mix of shows that's already like, and I don't watch those type of
mm,
shows anyways, so I'm coming up with a
I
blank.
could
But in my
imagine.
mind, it's a mix of like comic book men and like I I don't want to say like the what are the ones where they fix up all of the old like antique stuff?
Is it?
Did you know any of
Oh, well,
those
I could picture
shows?
this like an Antiques Roadshow, but instead of being like
Yeah,
You know,
it's
an expert. You are the
kind
person
of
who
like that, but
made
they're
the
not
thing.
right. But they're not fixing them up. They're like just investigating the
Yeah.
stories behind it. Who wore it? Did they lose it at one point?
Yes.
How did they get it back? Stuff like that. How did they make it? Where did the inspiration come from? Stuff like that will be
Yeah, and they're
fascinating
gonna
to
get
see.
some of the actors in there too. So you might get, when they're talking about the swords from Pirates of the Caribbean, you could have Orlando Bloom there talking about, this was the sword I used. This was the one I practiced with. This is the one I used on camera. This is how I learned about sword fighting, stuff like that.
Hmm. Yeah. This is the one I killed my first person with. This is the one I slept with. This is the one. Yeah.
There's oh
Yeah. So I mean, stuff like that could be really interesting. I think. I think the Imagineers thing
yeah.
is going to be the most fascinating, at least of the ones I've heard about so far, because there's so much that goes into making those Disney parks
Yeah.
and how everything works, and it's all smoke and mirrors to us who are
Mhm.
enjoying the park. There's so much behind the scenes stuff that it's just like, wow, how did you do this?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I listen to a lot of, like, Disney Parks podcasts. I watch a lot of Disney Parks videos. It's always
Hmm.
fascinating. That's a good one, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I'd love to see, like, the episode about, uh, Expedition Everest and, like, the trips they took to, like, Tibet and the areas surrounding the Everest mountain to just look at the culture
Hmm.
there and make sure, like, okay, if we're gonna build this little hut, stonework has to be exactly the way that stonework would be done. Even if it's less efficient, even if it doesn't look nice, we're going to do that stonework.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fascinating for sure.
Yeah, there's
So
going
you already mentioned the Phineas and Ferb movie,
yes.
but I know you're excited about that. Is it what about Phineas and Ferb made you fall in love with that show?
It's so funny. Not funny and just like, oh, this is, kind of cute for like this is a smarter kids show. It is across the board hysterical. Legitimately. I feel like I always have to preface anything I'm talking about. I'm like, no, I don't like it ironically. It's that good. It is
It's
yeah,
genuinely
it's
good.
so funny. It's so well written. The character interactions are really strong and it's got some of the neatest narrative tricks I've ever seen in a show. Like every episode has basically the same premise. It's a summer day. What are the kids going to do? Phineas and Ferb are going to build
Hmm.
this contraption. Their sister's like, I'm going to tell mom you're in the backyard building a contraption. And she tries to get mom to pay attention. And mom's like, what, honey? I'm sorry. I don't see anything. I must have missed it. Oh, the boys are just playing. Go out and play with the boys. And then their platypus, their pet platypus.
Who doesn't own a platypus?
He puts on his spy hat and he gets his mission and he goes off to try and fight Dr. Doofenshmirtz. And Dr. Doofenshmirtz has a device and the device backfires. And then that usually ends up like affecting whatever it is Phineas and Ferb built. Like he'll make a rocket and it'll shoot out into the
Hmm.
suburbs and like push away their giant contraption so that when, Candace brings mom's out, mom doesn't see it. And then like Isabella shows up and like Baljeet and Buford do the same things every episode. Like it is the same premise every episode, but it's always tweaked slightly. Like I saw someone describe it once as every episode is made out of the same big box of Legos, but they're all combined in completely different ways. And you'd never
It's like
yeah.
Taco Bell.
Yeah, like they stay it's this premise that they just tweak slightly episode after episode after episode. And this sounds like it would get really repetitive and
Interesting.
boring, but it makes that repetition part of the joke. Like you're excited to see, okay, it's going to be a little different this time. What's going on? Or if everything else is
There you
wacky,
go.
I know this character is going to come in and say this one exact line the same way they've said it every other episode, and it's going to kill. And the show also has like really fun sci-fi concepts in it and musical numbers in every episode with legit like incredible songs. I could go
Nice.
on forever about Phineas and Ferb. And they used to have it all on
There you
Netflix
go.
and they've taken it off recently getting ready for Disney Plus. So I
Hmm.
haven't been able to watch it in a while. So I'm like first
Excited for
yeah,
the new
first day I
movie.
get this, I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna rewatch all my favorite old episodes I haven't had access to in a while and watch this new movie. Thank goodness."
Fantastic. And what's this
This
encore?
is another one of their kind of reality shows. This is Kristen Bell, the voice of Princess Anna, and she is hosting a show where high school theater kids who put on a musical, and I don't know if this is like once per episode or like they'll spend like a season with each group or whatever. I don't know how it's structured yet, but it'll be she's going back to high
Hold
school
that
kids.
thought real quick. Speaking
Why?
of high school and musicals, one of the other things I saw announced was High School Musical, the series,
Yes. I don't
which is by far the best name of anything. I don't even like High School
Yes.
Musical, but that is amazing.
I'm real intrigued to find out what that is. And it seems like it's kind of on board, but also making fun of High School Musical a little bit, which is right where I stand. Like, I like it, but it's so corny. I don't think I like it in spite of it being
Yeah.
corny. I like it because it's corny. And it seems like whatever that thing is might hit that same approach to it.
Yeah, back to Encore
But yeah,
though.
Encore is going to be a show where high school theater kids have to reunite like 10, 15, 20 years later, having never seen each other again since then, and put the
Interesting.
same musical on again.
Huh.
Which is,
Interesting.
I don't think it'll be a show for everyone, but I like that concept.
Doesn't sound like a show. I mean, I like the concept, but it's still. I don't think that'd be a show for me.
No, it isn't for everybody. It's definitely for me, though. I'm a big theater person.
I'm excited for The World According to Jeff Goldblum, though I
Yeah,
have no idea what it
it's
is. I just like Jeff Goldblum.
yeah, it's
Who,
like
who
a
doesn't?
National Geographic show, and I think it'll be a lot of like it also like the way I had it described was also kind of like how it's made or something like that. Well, he'll look at
Mhm.
an object or like those shows on Food Network where it's like banana splits. Where did they start? Why do we eat them? It's like we're gonna take a
What do they believe in? Are they even real?
we're gonna take an object and just investigate where like culturally where did it come from, why do we
Yeah.
have this, how is it made, how has it affected history, things like that. Oh, just
Here's how Jeff Goldblum thinks everything works.
yeah, I'm down for that. That seems cool. Oh, there's another going back to Marvel for a bit. There is going to be a docu-series I believe tentatively titled Marvel 616 that is
Mhm.
about Marvel Comics, and the entertainment properties, and I think kind of like a history of, but mostly like a cultural impact of, like
Yeah.
how these stories have affected our culture. They didn't give a lot of details on it, but I can imagine like how many different episodes you could make out of something like that.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. I'm wondering how much of it is going to be well I'm sure there's going to be a ton of no stuff, but
Mhm.
just like listening to a number of comic book podcasts, we are absolutely at the time when a
Yeah.
lot of these original creators are passing away,
Oh,
which is really
yes.
sad. And so like I'm wondering how much like new stuff they're gonna have to work with, um unless it's like let's talk to some of the more recent creators and their experiences with the older ones and
I could
how they were
imagine that.
inspired
Yeah.
by that stuff, and then using more archival footage of Stan Lee and
Yeah.
Jack Kirby and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
and I think there's a lot of like there was like a history of comic books documentary series recently on TV on like an A&E or something like that.
interesting.
I don't remember what it was called. It was really neat, and like every episode was done in a slightly different style and it was fairly specific. Like I watched an episode about the history of Wonder Woman's creator. And so interspersed with like, the sort of talking head interviews, is this footage of these actors just sort of reenacting that man and what his life was like, and this sort of
He
like
is a very interesting man.
yeah, yeah, and it's this sort of period piece, like little mini drama interspersed
Uh-huh.
between these talking head interviews, and like they did an episode on the history of Marvel and like Stan Lee and his partnerships with Kirby and Ditko and all these different people, and like their kind of illustrative cutaways are like illustrated comic book panels, like they drew out, and
It's
it's
cool.
kind of motion comic. And there was something else, like there was the talking head interview, and then whatever they had to like show you the history was done differently episode to episode, which was really neat. I wish I could remember like what this was called or like what network it was on. I'll figure it out and I'll get back to
No
you.
idea.
But there's been a lot of history based comic book documentaries, and I would
Mhm.
like to see more of, we're not looking at the past, we're looking at now, and we're looking at future, like what is the cultural impact of comics, not just like, well, in 1963 this man sat down at his drafting table and he drew this guy. It's like, this is the impact it had on kids, this is who liked it, this is how it changed things, this is how it affected other
Yeah,
stories. That seems really cool. And I think
absolutely.
the final TV show I wrote down on this long list. We spent a long time talking about Disney Plus, but that was my personal goal.
That was the intention.
Yeah, there's going to be a cooking competition show. This is hosted by
Food.
Angela Kinsey from The Office, if you happen to remember her.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a family cooking competition show where different families are going to come and they are going to make a dish that represents their family and sort of the positivity and unity and fun and exploration of Disney parks. And at the end, the winner is going to get their dish featured in a Disney Parks restaurant.
The loser gets shamed for being bad parents
No,
and for having a terrible family.
no, they're all going to be good cooks. I love stuff like this. Like, I love the baking championship shows they have on Food Network. Kids
Mhm.
Baking Championship is one of my favorites to sit down and watch, like beginning to end, the entire season, find out who wins. And I like that this is that, but it's like an entire family cooking together. And who knows, it might be like, like these are our 10-year-olds, or might be like, we're an older family. I'm retired and my kids are in college and we're going to cook together, because Disney magic never ages. You could be no parents, could be all siblings, like all the different ways this could turn out, all the different families we could get to see, everything they get to cook. It just sounds really charming. And I love Disney Parks food is in it, a realm on its own. The Disney parks have
Mhm.
great, fun, really cool food.
There you
Yeah,
go.
again, maybe not a show for everyone, definitely a show for Melissa.
Yeah, no, I think adding in everything from animated shows to kid shows to stuff like Marvel and Star Wars to then cooking competitions and documentaries, like that is the breadth of content that I don't see a lot of other content providers having. Like you often see a certain TV station make their own thing,
Yeah.
but that station usually specializes in a certain type of thing. They
Hmm.
don't have antique shows and cooking shows and
Yeah.
documentaries and animated shows. They don't have this amount of variety. So
Hmm.
I think this, despite me not wanting another streaming service, I think this will do really
It's
well.
so comprehensive. Like, it's got something for everybody on there, really. And I think
Yeah.
that, and like priced so affordably, like this could be really successful. I want to bring up another brief news item I just got on my phone. this is
Breaking
this
news.
is our breaking news. Yeah, I just checked my phone real quick because I'm going out with a friend later. I just want to make sure they weren't like texting me asking me for my address or something like that.
Mhm.
Coca-Cola and Disney partner for new Star Wars Galaxy's Edge land. So, relevant to things we are discussing today, there's the Galaxy's Edge parks in Disneyland and Disney
Mhm.
World. They're building them simultaneously. They're going to be direct copies of each other, which is, I think, the first time they've ever done that. The
Interesting.
Disneyland one is opening end of May. Disney World's opening end of August. I just got a little article that says Coca-Cola is partnering with Disney Parks and Resorts to bring custom bottles of Coca-Cola, Diet Coke, Sprite, and Dasani to Disney's highly anticipated Star Wars land. The bottles will forego the familiar look of Coke products for something that fits right into the storyline of Galaxy's Edge. The bottles will be fashioned into a spherical droid like shape. They will have brand names on them, but the labels will appear scuffed up to fit in with the rusty look of the Star Wars galaxy. The labels will
I like
also
it.
be written in the fictional language used in the film franchise. The graphics, the shape
Nice.
of the bottle itself, the cap, all that stuff is very unique to the world and the design language of Star Wars. That's really cool.
That's sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at like a picture now of it is a Coca-Cola brand cooler filled with bottles of drinks, but
But
Star like it
will
looks
they make blue milk?
oh yes. There is okay, so there's
Coca-Cola branded blue
okay,
milk.
Coca-Cola is not involved in this, but yes, the cantina at the Galaxy's Edge parks is going to offer
Oh yeah,
blue milk.
I'm sure you can already get that in a million different places.
Yeah, blue milk, they're making it a dairy-free option, so it's friendly to more of the customers. You're gonna
Now
get
that doesn't make sense.
no,
How
it's like
how is milk dairy free?
it's like almond based. What are you
Oh
talking about?
yeah. Okay.
Have you been living under a
Okay.
rock?
No, I know that stuff exists, but it's like I don't know. I'm one of those weirdos that's like it's not a veggie burger. A burger isn't made out of
Come
vegetables.
on.
That's not how you can't do that to me. Name it something else. It's confusing to me.
It's not going to change the way you drink it, okay? Whether it's made out of cow or made out of a bunch of almonds or made out of some space animal, we don't know. It's going to be a blue milk drink.
No matter what, you'll have Mark Hamill sitting there being like,
Yeah.
So yeah, lots of stuff on the Disney Plus service
Finally,
thing.
we
Last
are
thing
done.
I want to say, I also don't like their logo. Their logo bothers me.
Isn't it
It
just
looks like well, it's their regular Disney like logo type, and then it has a plus sign, and then it looks like a shooting star. The plus sign is a little bit curved to supposedly match the arc of the shooting star.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if the guy on the video you sent me, if that was it, used a different version or an unfinished one or something. I don't know. But the like edge of the plus sign and where the shooting star was hit was not matching up.
Oh.
It was slightly off, and I was just like, no, don't do that.
Oh.
It should just go right into the thing. It's slightly off, and it bothers me.
It looks
Bothers me a
fine.
lot. It looks fine from far away, and so that's why I was like, is he using an old one? Is there a newer one out there that he maybe missed, or that's just the only like high quality one that's available? I don't know.
I'm looking at the thing and I cannot even see what you were talking about.
It's especially if you go back and watch the video you sent me. But that's just me being a graphic designer nitpick something, which I know that Disney is absolutely on top of that stuff, but still, it's just like it's really funny to me because even the art department that I graduated from, in what happened with them is the designer was like, he handed them a file being like, hey, here's what I'm thinking, like here's my idea, it's not done yet, don't use this, it's just an initial sketch. And it was not finished, and they didn't hear him or didn't realize that, and they used it anyways. So for years we had this logo that was that had the same type of thing. There was an R and a T in the word arts, and the R was supposed to then go into the crossbar of the T, and it was just slightly off. And it was just like, that's not, no, don't do that. That's not good. And so it bothered us for years, and then they finally fixed it. So we're like, yes, okay, good. But they had shirts and everything. It was all wrong, and it was just like, this is awful. This is terrible. though. Who knows? That's just me. More Disney stuff to
Yes.
talk about, though.
Yes.
Star Wars, the new Star Wars celebration is happening right now,
Mm-hmm.
and they released the first teaser trailer to the new Star Wars movie, and they released the title as
Yeah.
well. Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Is it
Mm-hmm.
the Rise of Skywalker or the Rise of the Skywalker?
No, it's
I
the
don't
Rise of
remember off the
Skywalker.
top
Just
of my
one.
head. Yeah, I watched it live when it happened. As I was sitting there at work, I was like, "All right, I am not working for the next 2 minutes." um, yeah, what did you think about the trailer? Let me ask you that first.
Mm, I feel the way I felt about, especially the first Endgame trailer, which is, I know I am looking at not even the tip of an iceberg. I'm looking at like one handful of loose snow. So like what,
Hmm.
like I'm seeing such tiny fragments. Like it looks cool. I'm not getting any weight behind it because I know you cannot show that to me. So I'm kind of eh, like I
I
don't really
think
have an
even
opinion yet because you've not really given me anything to make an opinion about.
I think even the Star Wars YouTube or whatever like official YouTube channel they released it on also defines it as a teaser rather than a trailer,
I buy
which
that.
nowadays there's not much of a
I
distinction
think
between them, even though I
it's
think there should
I
be.
think it's very fuzzy, but I think the distinction is that a trailer will actually give you some rough plot outline, and a teaser is just like loose concepts.
See, I feel like a teaser should be like 10 seconds,
I think
15
that's how it used
seconds,
to be,
a
yeah.
logo reveal, it just maybe some imagery, a tone, like
Mhm.
a visual style, but that's it. And then, yeah, a trailer might give you a little more information of like, okay, this is going to follow this character. Excuse me, I have the hiccups for
Mhm.
some reason. But yeah, so like this came out. It's the first thing we're seeing about it. Um, I liked the teaser trailer
Mhm.
thing, whatever it was. I liked it a lot. Um, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I didn't like the last movie though. I didn't like what was it
The Last Jedi.
called? Yeah, The Last Jedi. I thought that was really disappointing. Um, and I mean, it's uh, yeah, it's one of those things. Like it advertises in the trailer. This is where the saga ends,
Mhm.
and I don't feel like they're set up for an ending. I feel like because of some of the choices made in The Last Jedi, they're gonna have to do 2 or 3 movies worth to put things back on track, which it sounds like that's kind of what they're gonna do.
I think
From what I hear, I mean, it's one of the, I don't think The Last Jedi was as bad as some people might
mhm.
make it out to be. I just yeah, they made some weird choices in that. So it's one of those like I really liked this trailer. I want it to be fantastic. I'm just still skeptical.
My relationship with Star Wars is very casual. Like I didn't watch it growing up the way a lot of other people did. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
like I think I saw each of the movies once or twice. Yeah, I was from a Star Trek household.
You were for the distinguished competition.
Mhm, mhm. Not that it was like dad's like, "Is that a lightsaber? You get that out
How
of my
dare you?
home." It just oh, like I like he think he showed them to us when we were really little. I rented them all again when I was like 10 years old. I it was very like I treated it like just another sci-fi film, and it was never like that big like cultural emotional touchstone to me the way it was
Mm-hmm.
for anybody else. So getting more into it as an adult, like really sitting down, really concentrating on all of the different films, learning more about the lore, I'm interested in it, I'm excited for it, but I have no stakes in it. I'm not getting out like, "This is the culmination of everything I've watched since I was 5 years old." It's like, "Oh, this story's been fun, wonder how it's gonna wrap up." Like, it's just like a franchise for me. It's not the
That makes sense.
franchise for me the way
I'm
it is for so many
I'm
other people.
I'm a little bit in between
Mhm.
the two there because I didn't grow up in love with them.
Mhm.
I have a very distinct memory of watching them. I think while my mom was babysitting, like some kids who were friends of the families and stuff like that. For some reason, I don't remember if I was sick
Mm.
or something. I was in a bedroom. It was not my own. It was at this other people's house. I was in their bed and sick, so I was kind of quarantined.
Mhm.
And they had a TV with a VCR, and they had a whole bunch of VHS tapes and stuff like that. And one of the ones they had was the Star Wars trilogy.
Mhm.
I don't remember exactly how old I was, but I was pretty young, so I put them in and started watching them. But even then, like, it didn't really stick with
Mhm.
me, and I was a very casual Star Wars fan until college, and I started watching the Clone Wars cartoon, and that was the one that
Mhm.
got me in. That was like, I get it now. I understand. This is awesome. Um and yeah, and one of my coworkers also happened to be a big Star Wars fan, so he was the one that got me into all of that stuff. So now I feel like I'm very much attached to this franchise. I mean, most of the world is to
Yeah.
some degree, right? But yeah, this is one that I really like. I want them to do great things with. I think there's a lot of fantastic stories out there for Star
Mhm.
Wars in comics and cartoons and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I
Um,
I like Star Wars. I'm not attached to Star Wars. So it's weird watching the trailer like I know it's going to give me everything it promises because I have no nits to pick.
did you see that GIF going around? I retweeted it. It's the Star Wars trailer side by side with the trailer for North by Northwest, the Alfred
No,
Hitchcock
but I
thing.
can see how that would
It's beat for
work.
beat. Yeah.
Wow.
Or at least that one scene where Ray is standing there in the desert and
Mhm.
she looks back and there's the thing chasing her and stuff like that. It's the exact same thing. And I love that stuff.
Mm.
Like it almost has nothing like North by Northwest almost has nothing to do with Star Wars, but just having that homage and
Yeah.
stuff just makes it that much more like now I love this. I want this to do fantastically and have it be this masterful like work of art homage to these filmmakers of great and stuff like that. So who knows what that will be, but that was neat. You should go
Okay, I'll see
check
if
it
I can
out.
find that.
Yeah, it's on my Twitter. I
Okay. Yeah.
tweeted it. Um, I just wanted to add in one more
Mhm.
thing about Star Wars Jedi: The Fallen
Oh.
Order, which is a new video game coming later this year, supposedly later this year from Respawn, who just put out Apex Legends, a big popular video game right now. They are having a panel right after us recording this, I think in about 15 minutes or
Oh.
so from when I'm saying this right now. But that's going to be an interesting one because it's supposedly a third-person action game, single-player, story-focused, with no microtransactions, which Melissa, you might be like, I don't know what the hell this means
I
exactly.
know that word. I know
Well,
some of these
sure,
words.
but uh, I know you're not a big video gamer.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, this is going to be an interesting one because the publisher EA has had the license for Star Wars video games for a while now. They're about 5 years in or so, 5 or 6. and their contract is for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And they've only ended up putting out, I think, 2 Star Wars games, and they've both been very poorly received. The other ones they had kept getting canceled and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like we don't really know what this is gonna be, and them saying there's no micro transactions and stuff like that is the opposite of the other two, which were just filled with them,
Mm-hmm.
and that's mainly why people didn't like them. Um, so that's going to be an interesting one. But again, I want it to do well. I'm excited. I hope it's fantastic. Sounds like it's going to be taking place after episode 3.
Oh, yes.
And you're going to be playing as a Jedi Padawan that escaped Order 66. So there you go. I'm excited to see what that's going to be.
Interesting.
Yay, video games.
Yay, video games. You'll tell me how it goes, I guess.
Yeah. We'll see. More space stuff.
It is space.
The black hole. We are being sucked into the black hole that is Disney and the monopoly that they have on everything. No, we got an image of a black hole. I don't even know what the name of it is, or what if they even
like
name those
Tommy?
things. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how space works. But Katie Bowman, I believe is how you pronounce her name, is the woman kind of behind making it happen.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she made an algorithm, I believe, to kind of make all the like cameras on all the satellites work in tandem and like focus on this one thing and use the data to make this image. So we got our first look at a black hole, and it's an interesting one. It's a little bit blurry, but
black.
It's still.
It is a whole. It delivers on its promises.
Still, yeah. It's still fascinating that we have that, and of course, everyone immediately was making jokes and stuff like that. Like, oh, it's the Eye of Sauron. It's this. It's that. And then I couldn't help but remember the Vine that was a ripoff of the Magic School Bus. And it's like, the girl, that's a booty hole.
Yep.
So that's the Twitter joke that I made. But I still think that was fascinating that we got to look at that.
Yeah, I watched a Vox video on it this morning, and it was photographed from these sort of satellite control systems all over the world. And there was one in Antarctica, and it had captured so much data that it could not be electronically transferred. A hard drive had to be flown to like
Amazing.
the office in Washington, D.C., where they were putting all this together. And because of weather conditions in Antarctica, it's like, yeah, we had to wait.
And because of Antarctica,
we had to wait 6 months to find out what the Antarctic Research Station saw.
That's
crazy.
Wild. That is fascinating. There's an image going around of Katie with all of those hard drives next to I don't know her name off the top of my head, but the woman that got us into space and like made space travel happen. Or something like that, but it's her with all of her books of like algorithms and formulas, and then there's like a new photo of Katie with all of her hard drives there. It's fascinating stuff. Good stuff.
Let me look this. I want to find that.
Content.
That sounds cute. Show me this woman next to hard drives, Google.
Yeah, she looks super young, which is pretty cool. Someone so young can do all that. Millions of times smarter than I will ever be. That's what's happening.
Wow.
Our universe is huge.
Aw. Oh, she's just a grad student. She's really little.
Yeah. I have no idea how old she actually is, but
Oh,
I'd
I
say
see
she's
it.
around all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see the one that I was talking about?
Aw.
Who's the woman in the other picture?
I think it says Margaret Hamilton. Does that sound right?
I don't know, but let's see if we can look her up.
You said woman who got us into space, and
Something
I could
like that.
only think about Nichelle Nichols, which I know isn't right.
Let's see. Margaret Hamilton is an American computer scientist, systems engineer, and business owner. She coined the term software engineering. Was the director of software engineering division of the MIT. Blah blah blah. Open Wikipedia. Leading the development of the onboard flight software for NASA's Apollo moon missions. November 22nd, 2016, she was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by the U.S. President Barack Obama for her work leading the development of onboard flight software for NASA's Apollo moon missions. So there you go. Margaret Hamilton. Yeah, it's that one of her giant stack of books.
Yeah.
Wikipedia says that photo was taken in 1969.
Wow.
And then here we are in 2019. What's that, 50, 60 years later? We got our first image of a black hole.
Yep, 50 years.
Sweet.
Aw.
Fascinating stuff.
That's so cute. They look like each other.
Not all white people look alike, Melissa.
No,
How dare you?
like they've got a similar nose and their faces are kind of the
I don't
same
even know
shape
if they're white or if they.
they've got like kind of a similar haircut. Oh, like they've got a similar vibe to each other, and I think that's very charming.
Yo. Moving on.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of leading into housekeeping a little bit. Last week on the review show, we covered a graphic novel called Spencer and Locke.
Yes.
And the author hit us up on Twitter and was like, hey, thank you for covering the book. I was like, sweet, the episode's not out yet.
Aww.
He's like, that's awesome. Would you guys mind giving me a quote from your podcast if you liked it? Because if you hated it, then never mind. I was like, no, we had a blast.
It was really fun.
Yeah, it was a great book. So go check out Spencer and Locke.
Yes.
It is published by Action Labs. It was written by David Pepos. I believe I'm saying his last name right. Apologies if I am not. Yeah. And art by Jorge Santiago Jr. And yeah, it was a really fun read. So go check out that book. Go check out our episode of the review show on that we did last week. You can find that just by searching the Whatnauts in whatever podcast app you're using. I did notice that Spotify might not be updating. I need to investigate that. I found that out late
Put your
last
detective
night.
hat on. I don't use Spotify for podcasts.
Neither do I.
What do you use for podcasts? Have we covered this?
I use an app called Overcast.
Okay, I use Podcast Addict.
I really like Overcast, especially because of their speed up features. Which a lot of people, are like, ew, I don't want to listen to things sped up. That just makes it sound funky.
Yeah, I feel like
that's terrible.
That would disorient me, and I would get upset when a human tried to talk to me for real. Like, if I was listening to a podcast that fast, and then, like, my coworker tapped me on the shoulder and asked me a question, like, I would lose my mind. Like, you have
speed
to
up
go
faster, Sonny. No, I'm of the same mind. Normally, I don't like that stuff. I know you can watch YouTube videos sped up, and it's awful. It's terrible. I don't know why anyone in their right mind would want to do that. However, for some reason, I really like the way they speed things up
Okay.
here. I don't know if they do like a pitch change kind of thing, but normally when you speed things up, it gets higher pitched, right? Or you slow things down and it gets really slow and stuff, and it gets deeper. This seems to almost pitch match.
Okay.
Like, let's take the original. What's the pitch of that? And we'll see if we can match it to that. So it still sounds like them talking regularly.
Mm.
And I don't listen to it super sped up. So it's not like, they're not doing that stuff. It's just a little bit faster to the point where I can listen to maybe an hour-long thing in like 50 minutes instead.
Huh.
So it's very minor, but it's still enough where I can then pack more content into my day. That's how I listen to so many podcasts while I'm at work. I'm just like, well, I'll speed them up.
Oh, that feels like cheating. That feels like playing God.
certain ones also will like cut out the like blank spaces, and so there's just no like silence when if I were to stop and then start again, all of that silence would get cut out, and I think that sounds terrible as well, and this does not do. I think it has the option to, if that's what you want, but it does not do it. I'm thankful for that. That's what I use. Overcast. But yeah, Spencer and Locke was neat. We used a quote from you, Melissa. You were the one that
It's me. I
said
did it.
Yeah, so that was neat. I'm excited about that. Melissa, are you still planning on going to see Hellboy?
Yeah,
today?
me and Jams are gonna go see it tonight.
There you go. I'm interested to see what you think. I have my hesitations of going to see it now, because it's not doing well.
Well, what does that matter? How many people get out to see it the first 2 days it's out that determines how good it is, Kyle? People are
No,
busy.
I'm not saying the amount of people. I'm not saying the amount of people that have seen it. I'm saying it's getting bad reviews. Like, people are like, this is not a good movie. Like, this is done really poorly. I think earlier, I want to say yesterday or something, they were at 9% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, golly gee willikers, I never even look at those things. Like,
so who knows? I'm because I know we mentioned potentially doing a Reactor Core
are you chickening
episode on that. No.
Okay.
I'm still gonna go see it. I think I'm gonna go tomorrow. I still have to get my tickets, but I'm interested to hear what you think. Now
well,
that
it's a proven fact that I'm a big old goober and I like everything. So so if you don't like it, we're gonna see how that turns out. With me being a whiny ball in the corner, going, "No, I thought it was sweet."
And I'll be sitting there, it was garbage, it was trash, it was that. Who knows? Maybe I'll like it too. But yeah, now that I'm like hearing, because that's one of the things that I don't want us to shy away from when we do episodes of the review show or the Reactor Core. If we see something that is just not good, I don't want us to shy away from that and us to like still smile and be like, it was all right, it was good, I can see why people would like it. It's like, no, if you think it was bad, say it was bad.
Oh, well,
like, just at least back up why you think it was bad. Yeah. No. So I just don't want us to shy away from that. But I think usually, yeah, like I think we can always usually find something to like within stuff, and so our shows do end up trying to find the good. I also don't necessarily want to be a grumpy curmudgeon. Everything is bad. This art is bad. This muffin is bad. Blah blah blah. I don't necessarily want to put that much negativity into the world, but I also don't want to shy away from being like, okay, well, this didn't work. let's examine why it didn't work.
Yeah.
You know.
Mm.
So
How many times
there
do
you
we
go.
have to watch it until it does work?
Maybe it never will work, Melissa.
I will drink until a movie is good.
Yeah, well, sure. That, but does it really make the movie good though, or are you just so inebriated that your judgment is impaired? Who knows? But yeah, so be on the lookout for that. I'm excited to talk about that to see what your thoughts are. If you're gonna like it, or if you're gonna be like, oh boy.
You dollhead this whole year. Do you even know me, Kyle? I like them all.
I'm waiting for the day where you come in and you just like, Kyle, this book was terrible. I mean, your job is basically editing academic papers and stuff like that, and like you work with academic papers. That's all I know, and people who send in weird things about the 9 circles of hell and attach clip art to that stuff on that one episode.
Yeah.
Like, see,
you watch a ball of light slowly become a horse.
That was a bad academic paper. Let's be honest here. You might not be able to comment on that because it was your job, but still, like,
yeah, I can.
Certain things out there are bad.
I can tell what papers are going to get desk rejected, but I would never desk reject a film.
Well, maybe you need to. One day, we'll see if we can find something that Melissa thinks is bad.
Why is this fun?
Challenge accepted.
No, people keep trying to do this to me. Like, we're going to find something you don't like. And I'm like, how does that help a single other person alive for you to spend time on it?
Because it's fun.
Oh, it's not fun. Disliking things isn't fun.
It's not about disliking things. You're always so happy and you're always so positive, and that's awesome. But we don't ever get to see you in this other mode, and so it's like, whoa, it's a mystery. What is Melissa actually like when she's angry?
I don't have one. Like, the angriest you've ever seen me is now because I'm hungry.
Well, yeah, fair enough. I think that is a good enough spot to end the episode on, because I am hungry as well. We already mentioned Spencer and Locke.
Yeah.
Go check out our episode on that from this past week. We also did an exclusive episode of the review show over on our Patreon, and that's all about Batman Beyond. Let's see, Melissa, I lost you there for a second. Are you back?
Am I back? I didn't go anywhere.
You are back now. Yeah, you are back now.
I was just gonna say, it's not all about Batman Beyond, because it's about Batman Beyond and one episode of Justice League Unlimited. But it's
an episode of Justice League Unlimited about Batman Beyond. So,
just so that the audience knows what they're getting, what they're paying the money for.
Exactly. We are also covering Birdman on this coming week on the review show, so be on the lookout for that stuff.
Very excited for that discussion.
We did a spoiler cast of Shazam. If you went to go see that, go look that up on the Reactor Core. Again, you can find that just by searching the Whatnauts in your pod. Whenever I say that, I get the hiccups.
I'll do it next time then.
Dude, it must be a sign. Yeah. Go search the Whatnauts in your podcast app, and that's where you can find the Reactor Core, which is where our spoiler cast of Shazam is, and where our spoiler cast of Hellboy will be. Patreon.com is where you can support us, and for patreon.com/the Whatnauts to be more specific, I should say. We don't want to leave that last bit off, or then you can't find us. For $1 a month, you can get all of our episodes early. You can get the live streams of the review show, which take place on Sunday at noon Eastern time, every Sunday at noon Eastern time. And at the $3 level is where you can get the exclusive content. That's where you can get that episode of Batman Beyond. And at the $5 level, we will give you a shout out, like right now. Thank you so much to Sam and Eric and Christine for supporting us on Patreon. You guys are fantastic. You guys help keep the lights on. It helps us out a ton to have you guys' support, so we can host all of our episodes and make our website possible and stuff like that. It's fantastic. You guys also want to help us continue to grow and make bigger and better content. Patreon.com is where you can do that. If you don't want to throw us any money, that's a-okay as well. You can watch this stuff on YouTube. You can get this stuff as a podcast. Let's see, new episodes of this show, The Captain's Log, come out every Monday.
Yeah.
And we live stream them every Friday.
Usually.
Yeah. Usually. This is a Saturday.
Yeah.
Saturday early afternoon when we are doing this one. Melissa, where can they find you on the interwebs?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Wilkywit. That's WILKYWIT.
I am at Yo Kyle Springer on Twitter and Instagram. If you guys want updates with our show, we are at the Whatnauts on Twitter. Yeah. Episode 47 of The Captain's Log is done. Thank you guys for watching. We will see you guys next time.
Bye.
Adios. Hey, thank you so much for watching that episode of The Captain's Log. Go subscribe to our channel right up here if you liked that and you want to get some more, or check out one of our other podcasts also on our channel over there. Also, go watch this video down here that YouTube wants you to watch. Actually, it might be our most recent upload. It's probably what I'm going to put down here. Thanks a lot.